So the game is on Whirlwind. This is the macro map. Now Soulkey is a macro Zerg, but Innovation, of course, is the macro player. He has shown a 2-Rax in this series, which I'm sure is on Soulkey's mind. But if I'm the Zerg here, I'm not worried about a 2-Rax on this map, because really your worst fucking nightmare is having to play Innovation cross spawns on freaking Whirlwind. I actually think that weirdly, spawning cross versus Inno is worse than spawning close. Like, spawning close is usually always the thing that you want to do. You want to spawn close if you're the Terran player because you are spawning closer to them and you can launch your attacks, and the attacks take less time to hit the Zerg's base. It's like ZVT 101, you know? The rush distance between naturals is a huge deal. And Innovation's going to go command center on the high ground, so a greedy build, but it's not the greediest command center on the high ground. It's sort of saying, like, I want to do a greedy opener, but I'm going to respect you and do it on my high ground and respect the cheese. If you know that your opponent's not going to cheese you, you do CC on low ground, which is the best economy opener in the game. Again, I legitimately have something to talk about in the early game for these old games. It's really satisfying because now the early game of ZVT, it's like, oh, he's gonna go Reaper. Like, the Zerg has to respect the Reaper, he has to make 4 to 6 lings, blah 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 blah. Like, you can't say shit about the game, and like, a lot of new viewers don't understand that. It's like, Wings of Redemption, talk about the game, man. Yeah, like, I'm not gonna fucking commentate the 6 lings fighting the Reaper. I'm not gonna do it. And this is legitimately interesting. They are showing what they think about each other and their strategic tendencies within the actions that they're doing in the game. And it's dictated through the early build orders. And because it's a best of 7, it's not only what they think the other person is going to do, or they've reviewed their VODs and they usually go this on this map. It's, well, the first 2 games went like this, and how does that factor into how I'm going to open as the Zerg, and how does it factor into how Enno's going to open, and if I do something cheesy, is he going to die to it? Because Enno was famous for being able to hold like any cheese, and even though he would play pretty greedy in the early game, it looks like he's going to go Hellbat drop again. But this is what we see is like an aggressive Ling Bane build. It doesn't even have an exterior or interior wall, and obnoxiously, Soulkey is going to run in, and holy shit, that was so clutch. As he ran in and got the reactor and then immediately made Banes in his face. Most guys would have like made the Banes and waddled up and probably like used them on the reactor, but Soulkey got 2 Hellions to pop out, and those Hellions are going to be the only ones that pop out 2 at a time. Now Inno's going to have to make Hellions 1 at a time, and it was incredible to see Soulkey just like say fuck it and run in with giant balls past 2 would-be walls and snipe that down. Now, we were seconds away from him killing that and Inno only getting 1 Hellion out, and I think if that happened, Inno would have taken more severe damage as he runs in with more Lings and Banes, and Inno had made an add-on. He thought the aggression was over, as I think we see why, is now he's just going to be like, well, I have Hellions, I'm just going to make a full wall and park the Hellions behind the wall. And Soulkey's like, yeah, shit. You can, and as we see him go into drones, you can get into that mode as Zerg where it's like, oh my god, I got it and got the reactor, I'm going to make more Lings. Alright, I got more Banes, I'm going to, it's like, oh crap, he has like X amount of Hellions out, he's re-walled, like, it's Bane bust time is over, dude, it's time to move on. And when Innovation made that add-on, it was sort of like, oh, I thought you had moved on from the Bane bust, lol, and he like respect canceled it to make a unit and then held and then remade the wall, and now he's way, way ahead. Whenever you do a Bane bust, it's one of the ways that you can fall behind against Terran without them attacking you, because the matchup often is predicated on the attacking player, and that's almost always going to be the Terran. The Terran wants to make Hellions, the Terran wants to put pressure on, and the Terran wants to prevent the Zerg from making a bunch of creep and making a bunch of drones. That's just sort of the bread and butter of the matchup. That's StarCraft 101, ZVT, and Inno knows, like, okay, he's gonna all in again. He doesn't have any creep spread, and his third isn't established. I'm in this position where everyone wants to all in me because my macro is so insane and they know they can't beat me in a macro game. So they're going to throw these Roach Bane cheeses at me. I'm going to make extra bunkers. I'm going to take pot shots at the Banes and Lings when they run in. And a lot of the wall is blown down there. Wow, good micro there. Soulkey sacks a roach to draw the mine hit, runs away, gets a bunker, but now it's like, okay, you have 8 roaches, and again, roaches don't turn into ravagers. Now Zergs can like do dumb roach aggression, and if it doesn't work, they can make a few ravagers, and when they do like their next push, they can bile down the front door, they can bile down tanks, they can bile down mines. Aggressive Zerg wasn't as good at the time. And you know what's not good at all? Aggressive Zerg on cross positions Whirlwind. And this is what I was talking about, is innovation screaming in here with a double drop that Soulkey is going to see. He's going to defend. And I love that like Soulkey isn't afraid to defend in like the mid game with Roach Ling. We saw in the game where Inno went Hellbat drops. He went into Hydra there. I think like we see him going for a way more like mid-game focused style. Like he shouldn't go Hydra again. Like I don't want to see another Hydra for the rest of this series. It's just not good against the style Inno plays. As we see Inno poking around with drops, and he has 1-1 finish before the Zerg player. That's a big deal in this matchup. Usually you see the the upgrades will finish within 20 seconds of each other usually, so Inno doing the patented double drop. Notice that he's dropping the bases that are the furthest away from each other, the third and the main. And it's really easy to, whenever one drop stalls out, just to drop over to the natural. That allows you to do that with either drop, remember. Whereas if you drop like the natural and the main, those are closer together too. These are the sort of things that are time tested, that are always going to work, that you can incorporate into your play and get better. It's part of why I love innovation so much, and why he is such a great player and a bourgeois of StarCraft 2, one of the best players ever. It's because he played like this his whole career, an honorable, methodical macro style who grinded people down, and unfortunately his combat shield is hella late here. It is very hard to duel with Banes whenever you don't have combat shield, and it's a big deal as we see a lot of mines here. It's going to be hard to charge into all those mines because the mines did way more splash in this era, remember. These aren't the mines that you use now that need an upgrade to be good, as Inno's flying around with the drop and boom, the mines go off. They kill a bunch of the Banes and a bunch of the Roaches, and it's always good to have a drop on the opposite side of the map when your opponent is not going Mutalist, because their army isn't mobile enough to defend drop harass. And see, like, this is why the style is bad, because whenever you peter out against a bunch of Marauders, you don't have the ability to retreat off creep. And it's like, okay, I'm going to throw my Roach Sling at you. This is a terrible army that doesn't scale well. Innovation is rolling on 3 bases. There's way more. Oh my god, he man or muled him again. Now that's disrespectful. I mean, he was trying to cheese him, granted, but Jesus, he's saying, like, get the fuck out, lol. So innovation, he looks completely infallible. This is how people expected the finals to go. Innovation is completely monster moding Soulkey, and in the previous series, the round of 4, the only games the Zerg player won was when he did Baneling Bust. What do we see Soulkey doing? We see him trying to cheese. So Innovation sitting here saying to himself, alright, I'm up, easy, it's sort of like the world is my oyster, and if you were to try to quantify how behind Soulkey is, this is like an unfathomable mountain. This is like, if you were to look at the live betting odds on this game, it would be like plus 25,000 for Soulkey to win. Like, it's almost unfathomable that he would be able to come back and win this series. No one has ever no one has ever reverse swept a GSL finals before or since this set. Sub and hit the bell so you can keep watching.